Được rồi, con gái của mẹ giỏi quá.
Nè cậu uống nhiều rồi lái xe sao nổi. Để xe lại mà bắt taxi về đi. Uống có chút xíu mà, sai sao được. Ông an tâm đi nha.
Có chân.
Hãy nghĩ đến cuộc sống của bạn và người khác. Không lái xe sau khi uống rượu bia.
Alcoholism is a global issue that affects large amounts of the world's population. It contributes to 7.7% of all global male deaths and 2.6% of all global deaths for women. The symptoms include blackouts, cravings, vomiting, delirium, and aggression. The disease also leads to serious illnesses such as cancer, brain damage, and pancreatitis. It has been the focus of a wide range of government and not-for-profit campaigns in the modern world, but still has a strong grip on newly developed countries such as Vietnam. Vietnam is famed for its binge drinking culture and is the third largest consumer of alcohol in Asia. This culture of drinking has had serious effects on the population's health.
In Vietnam, there are 2,200 deaths per year directly caused by alcohol, and 3,000 are indirect. From 2016, 340 million litres of spirits and 3.92 billion litres of beer have been bought. Vietnam's National Committee for Road Safety reports that 6% to 8% of all road accidents are related to alcohol usage. At the same time, 60% of domestic violence cases are linked to alcohol. Australia has 66.2% of all 15 to 17-year-olds who have never consumed alcohol. 17.4% of all adults consume more than 2 drinks a day on average. 44% of all adults exceeded 4 drinks in the year, while 69.4% of males 18 to 24 consume more than 4 drinks in a week. Vietnamese males have the highest risk of falling prey to alcoholism. Vietnamese society's expectation of men to drink heavily validates statistics that show that 25.5% of men and only 0.7% of women display problematic alcohol use. Teenage males are particularly at risk due to the intense social pressure for them to drink. 16% of children have admitted to drinking regularly in Vietnam. Lenient culture around supplying to minors and the prevalence of homebrewed alcohol puts teenage boys further at risk as they have ready access to alcohol and no education or experience to prevent serious abuse. In addition, brain injury is much more likely and fatal for adolescent brains as their mental development can be halted or hindered if too much alcohol is consumed.
Most hospitals are located in cities in Vietnam. This is the same in Australia, as both countries have poorer access to medical attention in remote areas. 57% of people with alcohol-related diseases move from very remote areas to less remote areas in Australia. This shows the lack of medical resources in the country. Furthermore, GP services provided per person are about half in very remote areas compared to cities. Vietnam's health services are very poor due to low government funding, while Australia has the second best rated healthcare system in the developed world. In Vietnam, there is one hospital for every 170,000 people. In Melbourne, there is one hospital for every 7,580 people, and in Ho Chi Minh, there is one hospital for every 5,024 people. Although, Melbourne has almost 10 times the amount of private hospitals than Ho Chi Minh. Alcoholics in Australia have a greater overall access to medical attention and have better quality treatment, but in both countries, medical resources in rural areas are more scarce.
To address the drinking problem, the Vietnamese government tasked the Ministry of Health with drafting a national policy on alcohol-related harm prevention and control. Unfortunately, this policy was never introduced. In 2010, the Vietnamese government controlled 2 of the largest alcohol companies in Vietnam, with a combined market share of 63.1%. This means that the government will be less likely to try and reduce alcohol consumption because of vested interests in the alcohol business throughout Vietnam. Thus, much of the work to suppress alcohol usage has to be done by NGOs. Australia has created many campaigns against the illegal use of alcohol, including a national alcohol hotline, which people can contact for free and confidential advice about alcohol. Some of the strategies include education of the public, treatment and support programs, surveillance and monitoring, regulation and legislation, and policy change. In most cases, a combination of the strategies is more successful than a single one.
Vietnam is in need of a comprehensive and sustainable alcohol policy that can balance the government's commitment to remove barriers to economic growth with a long-term public health approach to minimise preventable harms and economic burden. An effective response will require not only the state, but also non-government organisations to support and hold regulatory agencies to account. An essential part of this process is the development of evidence-based alcohol policy that is independent of commercial interests. In Vietnam, it would also be beneficial to create education programs for children attending schools, given the large quantity of Vietnamese children engage in underage drinking. If they are educated on the harmful effects of alcohol, then they will be less likely to drink excessively in the present or later in life. The protection of children from alcohol could be furthered through alcohol advertising blackouts and a restriction on advertising to audiences less than 75% adult. Due to the relatively low taxes on drinks in Vietnam, alcoholic drinks are often sold at low prices, around $1.30. This means that maintaining an alcoholic habit is sustainable, and therefore low taxes contribute to alcoholism in Vietnam. To change this, taxes should be raised on all alcohol products. This will increase prices, stemming the availability of cheap alcohol.
In conclusion, Vietnam has a serious alcohol problem. A great amount of Vietnamese diseases and deaths can be directly attributed to alcohol, and teenage males are significantly at risk of bearing the brunt of this misfortune.
Vietnamese hospitals are woefully unequipped to deal with this epidemic, and rural areas have poor coverage.
Vietnam's situations look especially more dire when compared with Australia's lower deaths and better health services.
Due to the influence that the alcohol market has in Vietnam, there has been no noteworthy campaign to curb alcohol use.
But with these strategies of gathering evidence, educating the public, and increasing taxes, it should be on its way to becoming a nation with a healthier relationship with alcohol.